Welcome to this deep dive. We've got some really interesting material we're going to unpack today,
Yeah.
all about how men and women might, you know, communicate a bit differently.
Right.
Think of it as a shortcut to getting the hang of these dynamics.
Mm.
Fun, insightful.
That's the idea. We're looking at patterns, things research suggests pop up in communication styles, emotions, conflict,
Mm-hmm.
even relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
The mission is really to pull out those key insights for everyone without getting, too bogged down.
Okay, cool. Let's jump right into communication styles then. A big thing from the research is this tendency for different sort of default modes.
Absolutely. The sources often talk about men leaning towards more directness,
Yeah.
assertiveness.
Getting straight to the point.
Exactly. Focus on the info, the outcome, efficiency.
And then on the flip side, women often seem to use a more, shall we say, collaborative style, empathetic.
Yeah, communication there can be just as much about building the connection, understanding where people are coming from, not just the facts.
You can sort of picture this, right? Like in a meeting, maybe.
Totally. The material suggests men might be quicker to state their case, offer a solution, maybe take charge a bit more.
Whereas women, the research indicates, might be more likely to ask questions first, get input.
Try and find that common ground, build consensus. It's a subtle difference in focus. Asserting a view versus building agreement together.
Which brings up the pros and cons, doesn't it?
It does, that directness for men. Super useful when you need quick decisions, right?
Definitely. But
But yeah, it can sometimes come across as maybe a bit blunt, aggressive even.
and the collaborative thing women often do great for relationships, making sure people feel included.
For sure. Stronger teams maybe. But the potential flip side, as the research hints, is it could slow things down.
Or make it harder for someone to really push for their own specific need in that moment.
It's worth thinking about, in your own life. Do you see these kinds of patterns? Do they ring true at all?
Yeah, gives you pause. Okay, let's switch gears slightly. Emotional expression. Another area where the sources point to some, noticeable differences.
It's fascinating, actually. And societal norms seem, huge here.
How so?
Well, the research often highlights how men are, kind of socialized not to show too much emotion, keep it buttoned up,
Right, stiff upper lip and all that.
which can make it tough, apparently,
Yeah.
for them to even, identify or talk about what they're feeling sometimes.
And conversely, for women,
The sources often say women get more leeway, social permission, even encouragement, to be more open emotionally.
which can be great for closeness, understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it does set up this interesting dynamic, doesn't it? How do men and women navigate these different emotional worlds, understand each other's needs better?
The research seems to lean towards a kind of two-way street approach.
Meaning,
Well, maybe creating situations where men feel safer opening up a bit more. And perhaps women developing, I don't know, more understanding about different boundaries around sharing.
yeah, respecting that people might just operate differently with emotions.
Yeah,
Mutual respect is key.
exactly.
And again, it makes you think, doesn't it? How do people around you handle emotions? Any patterns you notice there?
Definitely food for thought. Okay, moving on. Conflict resolution. This is where those communication styles can really come to the forefront, right? When things get heated.
Oh, yeah. The material we looked at often suggests men might approach conflict a bit more competitively.
Like trying to win.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Or at least reach a very clear, defined outcome. It can feel a bit like a debate or a negotiation sometimes.
Whereas women, the research suggests, tend to lean towards cooperation, collaboration.
Yeah, trying to find a solution that works for everyone involved, more focus on the relationship aspect, maybe even during disagreement, finding that mutual benefit.
You can see the link back to the communication styles we talked about earlier.
Totally. Direct, outcome-focused fits with a competitive conflict style. Relationship focus fits with collaboration. But, the real takeaway here is just knowing these tendencies exist can make resolving conflicts way more effective.
How so? What do the sources suggest?
Well, they hint that maybe men could benefit from consciously practicing more active listening during fights, really trying to get the other perspective.
And women.
Maybe finding ways to be, a bit more direct, assertive, clearly stating their own needs or boundaries, even when it feels uncomfortable.
Makes sense.
It's about knowing your own default, isn't it? Are you usually trying
Yeah.
to win or trying to find common ground? And thinking about how the other person might be approaching it too. It can really help navigate those tricky conversations.
Right. Now, all this stuff, communication, emotion, conflict, It all feeds into building effective relationships, which, let's face it, is something most of us want.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is, across the board, the research really highlights some core things that work for everyone, regardless of gender. Like active listening, really hearing someone, empathy, trying to feel things from their side, and just, clear, respectful communication. That's the foundation.
But the material also brings up something really crucial, doesn't it? The impact of, like, societal expectations, stereotypes.
Oh, massively. These unspoken rules and ideas about how men should be or women should act, they shape so much.
How we talk, how we interpret others.
Exactly. They can kind of box us into traditional roles without us even realizing it. Limit how authentically we express ourselves.
So just being aware of those expectations, maybe even challenging them a bit,
Yeah.
that seems key for better communication overall.
Definitely. Which kind of leads to a good question for listeners, maybe. How might those societal expectations have shaped your communication or how you see others communicating? Worth pondering.
So let's wrap this deep dive up. We've touched on potential differences in communication styles, emotional expression, handling conflict.
Right. And also how those big societal expectations influence everything. Plus, the basics that always matter for relationships listening, empathy.
Yeah. And the main point isn't about saying men are like this, women are like that, definitively.
Not at all. It's more about understanding potential tendencies, different default settings, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that can just make interactions smoother, more empathetic.
Open things up for better connection, really.
It's precisely.
Okay, so here's a final thought to take away. Think about a specific time you were talking with someone of a different gender. Maybe a chat that felt a bit, I don't know, off, or a disagreement that just didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
Could any of the ideas we talked about today, directness versus collaboration, emotional expression, conflict styles, shed some new light on what might have been happening there?
Yeah, maybe just observe those dynamics a little more closely in your day-to-day interactions. See what you notice.
You might just find some useful insights.